A big debate around the corner. Later, less than an hour from now, we're going to have all our game coverage on the issue of the day, jobs and the economy. We wanted to talk to Ed Zander about this, the former CEO of Motorola, former president of Sun Microsystems, just about the jobs environment, the economy, the thinking out here in Silicon Valley. Ed, always great of you to join us here. Cory's here as well. You know, if you could ask one question on the economy or jobs tonight, if you were there in New Hampshire, what would it be?
Well, I'd ask, how do we continue to maintain, if not grow, America's competitive advantage, especially around innovation? How do we attract the best talent? How do we start new companies and grow these companies?
And we hear that word innovation all the time, but I don't really know what that means on its own. I mean, how do you do that?
Well, let me just say one thing. I was an article, number in today's paper. In the last 3 decades, companies less than 5 years created 40 million new jobs. That's the answer. How do we create more new companies and grow these companies and get these jobs created?
Well, you know, we're doing this coverage of Zynga today. I mean, there's a company that's hired lots of people. They're creating enormous amounts of revenue. But interestingly, you know, in technology, there's 2 things that government has often served a role in: re-educating people because their jobs change more quickly. That's a big part of technology, as is productivity, where you need fewer people to make more money. Those offer a challenge to a new economy, don't they?
Yes and no. I mean, they do, but they always have. I mean, I just don't think the mindset's there now about what it takes to, you know, encourage people to start companies and how do we grow these companies. It goes back to, again, getting the right talent, issues like R&D tax credit, not over-regulating taxes and things along those lines.
But I always say this over-regulating. You and I started to get into it. We got cut off earlier. But, you know, when companies want to go public, we need regulation as investors to say, what are the numbers? What's the disclosure? How did you arrive at them? Isn't that kind of regulation good?
Sure, but Cory, we had that with Intel, we had that with Microsoft and Apple and Sun and Federal Express and Starbucks. And Sarbanes-Oxley, some of that's pretty good, but let's not add more regulation to that. A lot of companies today, I'm involved with a lot of private companies, don't want to go public and face the amount of cost of regulation. And of course, all that goes with it in terms of being able to grow the company. So I think we've got to just start with the basics. This country has owned innovation, has owned new ideas, has owned thought leadership, and we got to get back to that.
There's going to be a lot of talk on the campaign trail up until next year, but what about the Obama administration right now? I mean, is there anything that they could be doing right now to deal with the issues you're talking about?
Sure, and I think there are. I think some of this, all this bad news and doom and gloom is producing some of the thought around, for example, the immigration, about how do we attract the best scientists, the best engineers, the best idea people around the world and get them here to live here and create these new companies.
I mean, do you think it can happen?
Yes. Yes, I do think. And I do think there's some proposals going on right now on both sides that hopefully will move this along.
We had Vivek Wadhwa on the show last night, and he was talking about this sort of a Washington code word of comprehensive immigration reform means migrant workers and PhDs from Stanford. And the notion that trying to get all of them together in a bill isn't politically feasible right now. Why not just deal with the thing that technology people seem to agree on, which is certain types of people who want to stay in this country, employ people in this country? Do you think that's where the focus should be in immigration reform, not in migrant workers?
Maybe I'm biased because I'm in tech, but we had this before 9/11. I understand the reasons to modify it after 9/11, but it's 10 years later. Let's get back to attracting the best and brightest. Some of the best companies here in the Valley was started by people that were born abroad. My dad and mom came from Europe. I mean, let's get back to attracting the best and brightest. You know, I was just thinking about this on the way up here. The ball teams, the baseball teams, the hockey teams, the basketball teams, you all root for attracting the best and brightest around the world, the best athletes.
Hockey teams.
Let's get the best athletes here, too.
Very quickly, we've got about 20 seconds. For those CEOs who are in the hot seat right now, until those changes come, what's the one thing they think about when they hire or fire?
I think the CEOs in tech that I'm dealing with are trying to understand how to grow their company, potentially take it public if the environment's right, and what can they affect in terms of either the Democrats or the Republicans in terms of making it easier. So I think we've just got to get back to stimulating new company generation.
Exciting time. We hope these changes can happen so these companies continue to innovate and we can all keep our jobs.
That's true.
Ed, always good of you to join us here on Bloomberg West. Ed Zander, former president of Sun Microsystems, former CEO of Motorola. We're going to be coming back.